Hello, hello, hello. It is Elsid 932 on YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to be talking about America's Next Top Model reality check inside America's Next Top Model. We're going to be talking about it because I have an unpopular opinion. Okay, I'm a roast Tyra for her behavior as we're hearing this, what she did and didn't do. Okay. But my unpopular opinion is Tyra isn't the end all be all of the show. Tyra is the face. Tyra created the show. Tyra isn't the one to do the final edit. Tyra is not the one, you know, firing everybody. What did they say? There are no sacred cows, Tyra. Tyra was part of the cattle. I'm not going to discount her. I'm not going to say she was not party to the foolishness. She was. She was party to the foolishness, front and center on camera. Okay? But that's the thing. She's front and center on camera. But I'm not going to make her my fall guy. I'm not going to make her my fall guy because we have the head of UPN, we have the executives of UPN, and we had Mr. Mott. Come on now, who is the reality TV guru? Why is everybody carrying on Tyra when she is just one of the cattle on this farm? I'm just saying Tyra isn't the only one that needs to be looked at. She's not the only one. At some point, she could have said, no, I'm not going to do that. At some point, somebody in production could say, no, I'm not going to do that. At some point before it made it to our TV screens, they could have said, no, I'm not going to do that. So again, when they said there are no sacred cows, I said, Tyra forgot that she is part of the cattle. She forgot. But let's just say that it may not be any sacred cows, but she was their prized cow. I will say that. Now, did she do some foul stuff? Yes. Yes. There is no discounting that. She did some foul stuff. And we're going to talk about it. Hey, Huda. Good to see you. Hey, Moondust Girly. Hey, Sam. Good to see you. Hey, to go to Africa. Cheryl Davis says Tyra could have thought of someone other than herself. Yeah. But again, she could have. Hey, Sophie's cat. I had to stop watching the docuseries. I don't think I watched all the seasons of the actual show. That show started getting so outrageous, it became more outlandish. Guess it was for ratings. Yep, it was for ratings. But I don't like how Tyra put on us, saying we were the problem. Well, y'all were watching. Y'all kept making it that y'all wanted to see something. Y'all wanted to see more. Y'all were demanding from us a whole lot more. No, Tyra, we're demanding quality. And yes, I did stop watching and I had to go back. I was one of those in the season of COVID. What did I miss? Oh, I need to go see the season after Tyra. Because y'all kept up the foolishness after Tyra. That's why the title is Tyra the villain? Is she the villain? She is a villain to me. But is she the villain? That's what we have to discuss when we're going through this documentary. Because this show went on after her. There are no sacred cows, Tyra. It went on after her. So I'm like, who are we protecting by scapegoating Tyra Banks? Why is she getting all the hits? Why is she still the face of taking it all on with all of this going on? Now I'm a roaster for what she did on camera, and the fact that Miss J still hasn't heard from her. Now that's foul. That's a choice, and that's foul. You mean Jay Emmanuel has not heard from you and you have been in his house? You don't even need to be told. You can go into the fridge and take what you want. That is foul. Firing your friends and then, or we on set and I don't speak to you unless the camera is on. That is foul. How you spoke to those girls, knowing what happened in the modeling industry with you, that is foul. But the entire American Next Top Model, I'm not going to give Tyra the entire responsibility. There's enough responsibility to be shared. Right. Definitely not the villain, but she is a villain. Definitely a villain. She did the Jays dirty. Yes, she did. I stopped after they dropped everyone but her, and it jumped the shark. Some of the stuff early on made me it's very uncomfortable. Sophie's chats. It's very uncomfortable. So let's go on it. In episode 1, it's only 3 episodes, y'all, and I have my notes. That's why I'm looking over to the side. Episode 1, they explore the origins of the show. Okay, Tyra Banks and executive producer Ken Mock. Where is Ken? Why isn't people getting on Ken just as much as they're getting on Tyra? I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna pigeonhole it like this. I'm not gonna pigeonhole it, but why is it Tyra out here taking the hits alone when Ken clearly was part of the executive team? Their goal was to disrupt the fashion industry and change modeling. Ample goal. Ample goal. Tyra describes the show as her way of getting back at the industry that had been exclusionary towards her and other women of color. I think we lost our vision. I think along the way, from the first season, we lost our vision for that. Okay? We lost our vision for that. Hey, when in Row, hey, sis. She's not much of a villain when it comes to the show, but that's TV. But a character outside of the show, girl, yes. Yeah, that's why we family. Okay, that's why we family when in Rome. Okay, hey, hi vibe, good to see you. Tyra is a villain. A villain. The fact that Miss J could be going through a health crisis and you have not heard, she has not heard from you to this day? Really? Really? Jesus. I'm sorry. Y'all know how I am around here. If y'all are here for my Project Runway, I love my Miss J's. I love my image architect, Law Roach. So I feel like, Tyra like really, really, really messed up. And now I'm asking, what relationships does Tyra Banks have now? What long-standing relationships does she have? Hello? Who, industry or otherwise, does Tyra Banks have a relationship with? So it seems to me she may be a trash friend. We're seeing here. We're seeing with the Jays and with Nigel. Trash friend. I need somebody to step up and say if she's a good friend. She just doesn't come off as genuine. She will step on anybody's toes to get where she needs to be. There are no sacred cows. There are no sacred cows. She's coming off as a user. She's coming off as a businesswoman. But she forgot she was a cow too on this pasture. She forgot she was a cow. That's what it is. She forgot she was a cow on somebody else's farm. I'm sorry. Now, they had casting battles. They had a heated confrontation with the head of Viacom. Where's the president of Viacom, Les Moonves? Why isn't he stepping up too and receiving this tongue lashing from everyone? Tyra is a villain. She is not the only villain. She is a villain for sure. Why is Les Moonves not here? Okay. Cheryl says all of them had a hand in it because Tyra's name is associated with the show. She was targeted, but she had a choice to continue or separate herself. Her ego hurt her. Yes, Les has been hiding. I would like to hear Beth Ann Hardison take on America's Next Top Model. She truly fought for representation in fashion. Definitely. So the first episode looked at the early cycles, the first-hand accounts from the contestants who felt manipulated by the edits because, they were filming everything. The only place you probably had peace was in the bathroom. They were filming everything. Okay. And the contestants talked about the psychological damages that they received. Because when I tell you that first season, I was cutting them side eye when them buzz clippers went through our girl Ebony's hair and they were laughing and touching her hair. I was like, Tyra, you better get your girls. When they were putting that buzz clipper and talking about her hair, I was hot. So I almost was like you, Sophie's cat. I almost cut it off. You are not picking through my hair and doing. And these girls are barely 19, 18, 19. I don't think I heard any of them were over 20 in that first season. And correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Okay. And when I tell you that first season, here's another part of that first season that I was ready to jump through. I was ready to jump through. When they start talking about baby oil and no Diddy, of course. And they were like, oh, could you make sure when you're touching stuff, could you make sure you're not, oh no. No. That had me hot too. You didn't remember the essay? The essay was the biggest thing, and I thought that the season would have been shut down. I thought it was one and done when the essay happened. I thought it was going to be one and done. Hey, haven't seen you in a bit. Good to see you. Good to have you here. After the essay, I thought, oh, y'all filmed and didn't save someone, and y'all have footage of an essay. Oh, y'all done. But it kept coming back. Kept coming back. For how many cycles? Episode 2, still in the running. Episode 2 is where they discussed the Milan incident of the essay. Okay, that was cycle 2. Sorry, so it was 2 undone. The exploitative shoots. That's where they talked about the blackface. That's when they talked about the homeless theme. That too. For many years, I worked with a homeless agency, and I was put off by that. Okay. I was put off by that. And that whole blackface thing. It was like, ooh. Not only the blackface, but adorning yourself with native feathers and not knowing the significance. Ooh, no. When Rome says Sandy's story has changed many times, I don't think she was an essay, but they should have made the guys leave. They should have. There are many instances. There's another incident with men that should have been asked to leave. Should have been asked to leave. America's Next Top Model was a show masquerading as a competition. Tyra knew that, and yet she yielded to the madness at the expense of the young ladies. Yes. I don't know, High Vibe. How can you give consent when you're intoxicated? I don't know. I don't understand how they see a drunk girl in that situation did nothing. That was a time of crew, don't do anything. You are just there to film. You're not there unless it's life-threatening. And I would consider that life-threatening, but you are not to interrupt the life that's happening. Okay. Then they had internal rifts. They talked about creative director J. Manuel. I don't know why I keep saying J. Emanuel. I'm sorry. J. Manuel discussing the breakdown of his friendship with Tyra. How the show's concepts eventually crossed the lines he was no longer comfortable with. And he told Tyra, I can't do this anymore. And Tyra stopped speaking to him unless on set and in front of the camera. It's not a black and white issue. It's complex, but people have drunken love all the time. I won't argue about it, though. I won't argue. I won't argue at all. Hey, Juana, we were the problem. Yes, kept the foolishness after. They kept the foolishness after Tyra. That's why I'm not sinking all my claws into Tyra Banks. She deserves some claws. She deserves a whole handful of claws. But all my claws are not going into Tyra Banks. right? The show invited the guys. Mm. Now I was, Eva's photo with the tarantula. I was like, spare me, please. But that photo was absolutely fabulous. Okay? Absolutely fabulous. Episode 3 was rooting for you. Okay? Rooting for you. The downward spiral as ratings dipped in later cycles. The documentary details the desperate format changes. Okay? Like the British invasion and all-star cycle, many participants felt was increasingly tacky. Then life after the lens, the contestants share how top model label actually hindered their professional careers. Funny how a modeling show about breaking through the modeling and fashion industry, how many of those ladies actually had a modeling career? How many? I'll wait. How many of them were ripping down the runway? I'll wait. I'll wait. Just said he was uncomfortable at various instances, but kept going back. That paycheck must have been nice. Hey, Felicia, good to see you. I mean, it's reality TV, Real World, Survivor, although enjoyed those shows. Can we talk about how beautiful the black model contestants are today? I mean, black don't ever crack. Those sisters are gorgeous. They are. Ebony, you and that mane had me. You and your full mane had me the entire documentary. I said, when is Ebony coming back? Is there any more Ebony on my screen? Ebony. Huh. Ebony was fierce. Hey, Lil Shine, good to see you. Good to have you here. Yes, all of our sisters looked fabulous. Those who were featured. We're going to talk about that because there's a certain sister that was not featured in this documentary. Okay? So, top 5 moments of this docuseries. Shandy's account of the Milan incident of being blackout drunk. It's still to this day, many people are saying that reality TV shows provide alcohol to kind of loosen your lips. To this day. And we're talking about Tyra Banks this was what, 2003? I don't think any of the judges are free from guilt. Everybody saw, but they prefer to keep silent until now. I'm going to need to see the NDA. Did they have NDAs? Did it have NDAs? Funny you should say that, Sophie's chat. I have not seen Yaya talk about this. We've seen Eva. Eva was not featured on the docuseries. Interesting. Yaya was not featured on the docuseries. Now, another thing that people are talking about is the tooth gap issue. Notice how the tooth gap thing was an issue. First of all, when they send those girls to the dentist, I said dental surgery is major surgery. Why are we doing this and then funneling you to a photo shoot? She made some videos. I didn't see it. I'll have to go look. One cycle 6, Danny, you got to close that gap. You ain't going to have this dental surgery. You're going to go home. I'll pack up. Let's go. Let's go home. But eventually won cycle 6. I have to say, those girls who had dental surgery, well, first of all, they jacked up the other girl's teeth. Dental surgery and then have to get up and go to work for a show that isn't really paying much. How much were they paying those girls? Were they paying those girls? Yeah, dental surgery. What is the contract if something had happened to those girls with dental surgery? What was their show's responsibility? What's the show's liability for putting them under for dental surgery. Tyra was not moved by the young lady being referred as Ashy because we've accepted that. We've accepted being called Ashy. We've accepted that. People call each other Ashy to this day. We're not saying, hey, your skin is dry. We're telling her the models wouldn't be booked with a tooth gap, but then she don't have to smile. There are many photo shoots where the models don't have to smile and show their gap. But all of a sudden later on, later cycles, well, cycle 16, all of a sudden the gap tooth is in and you want to pronounce it? Yeah. Sorry. Right. Pulling teeth and no joke and for one time. Yeah, I thought Jay was Latino too. I call him frosted tips. A guy from Cycle 22 said it was $50 a day and had to pay for their own groceries. So another thing was apparently I didn't realize the rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. That footage was longer. That footage was longer, they said. Tiffany. The Tiffany. That it was significantly edited down. No wonder this girl was defensive and crying. There's only so much you could take with somebody yelling and carrying on at you. Only so much you could take with that. And Tyra said that's the one thing she admitted, that she lost it. But she tried to say the anger wasn't just at Tiffany, but the societal pressures of that Black woman faced. But there was a Black girl in front of you, Tyra. And I think that's what disappointed me. Tyra was supposed to be kind of like the beacon, the lighthouse to let them know where was safe waters. And instead she was lights out and she allowed them to crash against the shores. That's what disappointed me most. And I'm going to tell y'all what I told members last night, what I think Tyra should have done. But, you know, I can't tell grown folks what they could do. Now, the explanations for the cruel photo shoots. Now, when that young lady, I had forgotten about that, but the crime scene photo shoots, when this girl lost a family member to pew pew violence and you had her model as if she was a pew pew victim to the head? Nah, homie. Y'all was foul for that. Y'all was foul for that. That was foul. I did make a note of her name. Dion Walters was the model. Her mother had survived a real life shooting and was paralyzed, yet they assigned her the pose with the pew pew victim with a wound through the head. And Mark now wants to say years later, oh, that was a mistake. It was a mistake that we celebrated violence. Oh, okay. Really? Why aren't people carrying on about Mark? Why are people more carrying on about only Tyra? That's my thing. They're putting blinders on us and making us only come after Tyra when it's more than just Tyra. It continued after Tyra was gone. Jeez. I understand Tyra's crash out, but she should have reached out to Tiffany after she sent her home and help her if she really wanted to help. I have a way that she should have helped her. There was also the photo shoot separating drug use. And they were telling the girls, give me this drug-induced kind of look. What? Are you serious? We used to have commercials saying, say no. Remember Nancy Reagan? Say no. This is your brain on drugs. Now you're telling these models to give that look. And exactly high five. Mark just smiled and shrugged his shoulders like, okay. Yeah, we did it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was a bad decision. And kept on pushing. Yeah, somebody had a friend that passed away and they had a graveyard photo shoot. Now, the other part of the top 5 things that to talk about was the firing of the fabulous 3 right over here. Nigel Barker, Miss J, and Jay Manuel. When they were sitting down together talking about their firing in 2012, that they were completely blindsided? Yeah. Tara, it's not that you fired them, it's also how you fired them. They should not have been blindsided. They should not have been blindsided. They should not have been acted like disposable. They were there with the show. Well, at least Miss J and J Manuel, they were there for over 10 years because the show started what 2002, 2003, and this is 9 years. Yeah, they should not have been disposed of. Okay. And the 3-word email to Jay Manuel when he said, I can't do this anymore. The 3-word email. Y'all remember that? I need to make a t-shirt out of that 3-word email because it also describes how I feel about Tyra Banks. Jay Manuel, you need to put out a clothing line with that on there because we all feel this way. I am disappointed. That's some. I am disappointed. For your friend of several years, to have to come here and tell you, I really don't feel, why did he feel the need to even email you? He couldn't reach you. You weren't picking up the phone. I am disappointed. We all are. The girls are disappointed. This generation who's watching it afterwards is disappointed. Put it on a t-shirt is right. Basically, they had a work family. And I understand that's how I saw Miss J, J Manuel, and Nigel Barker. They felt like they were a work family. And this is not how you don't dispose of family. You don't dispose of them. And J Manuel said, she's at my house, I'm at her house, we're going coast to coast. All of a sudden, I don't even talk to you, and I give you a 3-word email. And then when asked and pressured about it, what does Tyra say? Oh, I don't want to talk about it. That's between Jay and I. I'd rather just speak to Jay. Well, you're not speaking to Jay. You're barely emailing Jay. You need to speak up. Tyra, this was trash. Miss J had a health crisis and you still have not reached out? According to the recent interviews I have seen with Miss J? Excuse me? Miss J, who taught you how to walk? Taught you. You come out here and tell us Miss J taught you how to walk. Now Miss J is relearning how to walk and you are not there for support? Trash behavior. I'm sorry, Tyra, that is trash behavior. I felt that. Only because, y'all, I have a grandfather that he had a stroke and he had to learn how to walk all over again. He wasn't as severe as Nigel let on that Miss J was. When I found out my grandfather had a stroke, I was on the first thing I could get smoke at work. I got to go. First thing smoking. So to hear Miss J, who taught Tyra how to walk, has to relearn how to walk and Tyra is not there. Tyra don't call. Trash behavior. Absolute trash. I cannot imagine in that moment, Nigel said, most of Miss J was hindered because of the stroke. I cannot imagine how alone you feel with someone that you have shared all these years with, someone you have worked with, even though we don't work together anymore. I'm sure there was, back and forth, they had communications. Even if you didn't communicate, you worked almost 10 years with this. This person taught you how to walk. And this is how you treat Miss J? Trash behavior. I need to know if Tyra has any long-standing friends. I need to know if Tyra has any friends from her youth right now. Because it's showing me that if you ain't part of the coin, if you ain't helping her get that coin, she don't know you. That's what it's giving me. All that mean girl energy and bitterness got Tyra looking old. Girl, the filters couldn't save you in this documentary. The best looking thing on Tyra, the hair, the wig was fine. The wig was fire. Okay. And that trench coat. That trench coat was fire. That's it. Miss J said Angela Bassett, Alfred Woodard visited him. No Tyra. That hit hard. That hit hard for me. You know, there's a saying, it's not the voices of your enemies, it's the silence of your friends that's the loudest. And I felt that for Miss J. It is the silence of Tyra that felt the loudest. Oh, we gonna get there, High Vibe. Is she cool with any of the models of her era? Mm. Plus, she knows Miss J doesn't have any immediate family of his own. I was disgusted. Absolutely went and wrote disgusted. Disgusted. And that's why, Nigel, J. Manuel coming there and truly still being supportive of Miss J is important. So here are 3 things that I thought the docuseries I had an issue with. Where's Janice Dickinson? Where is Janice Dickinson? Because the way Janice talked about these girls needed to be front and center. Again, I said Tyra was a villain. She's not the only villain. Where is Janice Dickinson Where's Janice Dickinson to be brought forward for the way she also treated these girls? Hello? Where is Janice? Where's Janice? Because the way Janice spoke, and we saw the highlight reel, where is Janice? As the world's first supermodel. Because Janice was vicious. Janice was vicious. And I know you have to come out here and you have to have someone for sensationalism, but Janice, even in front of the girls, was vicious. It's a different thing in front of the judges' critiques, but then to say it to the girls. But yes, I did see that. The directors noted that, Janice is tied up on another documentary. Yes, she was the Simon Cowell before there was a Simon Cowell. But again, remember, Janice was the old guard of the modeling industry, and Tyra wanted to get rid of that. So again, we needed to see more Tyra checking Janice. Because that's what you were fighting against, Tyra. That's what you said the show was about, that we weren't going to be facilitating the foolishness of old. Where's Tiffany? Where's Tiffany? Of all the contestants, where is Tiffany? Tiffany is the model that Tyra was screaming at. We were all rooting for you. Y'all didn't feel the need to invite Tiffany onto this documentary? Y'all are constantly using "we were all rooting for you," which is a highly embarrassing moment, for a very hurtful moment for her. And y'all don't have her on the documentary? I'm side-eyeing the documentary now. Excuse me, where is Tiffany? Everybody else is talking about the footage. Everybody's talking about the scene. It went on much longer. Da, da, da. She is the recipient of that "we were all rooting for you," and she wasn't included? One of the only models at the time to be stepping up to Tyra, and she told Tyra, "Hey, I don't like how you speaking to me." Where was Tiffany? Because clearly Tyra was platforming the show more than her feelings. Even for Tiffany to come up, remember Tyra said, "Oh, we worked with her to get her to this point to get her back on the show." Remember Tyra said that? I would like to hear directly from Tiffany. Why was Tiffany left out of this documentary? Is Tiffany also tied up with another documentary like y'all said Janice was? Where's Tiffany? Next up, exactly what High Vibe said before. Nobody talked about how Tyra has a rivalry in the modeling world. Nobody talked about the rivalry with Naomi Campbell. Yes, Tyra was in the modeling industry, and they avoid mentioning Naomi Campbell almost entirely. Tyra does speak about her, extensively about what she faced in Paris, but doesn't address the specifics. Okay, but she had a well-documented rivalry with Naomi Campbell. I know Naomi Campbell would not have sat down for this, but I would love to hear her thoughts. And she may have just a one sentence thought, like, "I have no thoughts. I don't think about." That may be its response. Like, "Sweetie, that was so long ago." What rivalry? But they didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about that. How Tyra said that Naomi Campbell showed her tough love during modeling. We didn't hear about that. We didn't hear about that. I was disappointed in not hearing that, because that is to tell you how Tyra came to the show. That's to tell you how Tyra came from her modeling to the show. Right, High Vibe. Naomi will be who? Who's that? I don't know her. Mm. But it could be seen as she probably didn't want this, or the documentary didn't show this to try to show Tyra as a trailblazer. Because remember, Sports Illustrated, Tyra had to share the covers. Share the covers. An honorable mention I'm going to have. And I'm sure I when I was digging into this is when I found this. Wild thought. I wonder if Tiffany could have sued Tyra for defamation of character. I only wonder because lawyers were pulled after Tyra lost it. No, she could have gotten it for psychological stuff, but defamation. Tiffany never shied away from saying that she has struggled, that she didn't come up with a very smooth life. Tiffany has shared that. So I don't know where the defamation will come. But Kenya Barris was not mentioned. Hello? Documentary. Kenya Barris, Barris, was not mentioned or included on the documentary. Who's Kenya Barris? Some of y'all may know Kenya Barris. They failed to mention Kenya Barris, the creator of Blackish, co-creator and producer of America's Next Top Model. Did we all forget that? I forgot it till I went digging. I forgot that. Co-creator and producer of America's Next Top Model. That's how Kenya is involved. We did not get his perspective on the transition from a serious fashion competition all the way to dramatic reality TV. That is entirely missing. Hello? Hello. Kenya Barris was part of America's Next Top Model. Hello? I found that very interesting, considering how big Blackish is now. Really? Oh, okay. Okay. He was not mentioned as a co-creator and producer of America's Next Top Model. Hmm. Yet we have Tyra Banks full front and center for everybody to start talking and pointing fingers. Tyra, 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 Tyra. And Ken Mock is just, yeah, we made mistakes. Okay, yeah, such is life. Let's go on. And then nothing about Kenya Barris. Who's the one front and center taking all the hits and being trashed in the media? And I hate to put it this way. I will get her on. I will get on Tyra about her behavior to her friends, her actual behavior. But to hold her responsible for the entire show and entire franchise, uh-uh. Uh-uh. So why is it we are again the face of it when it catapults, but we're not necessarily the face of it when it rises? I'm just asking. So where was Rita Ora? Remember when there are no sacred cows? Remember when Tyra was sent along on her pasture? Rita Ora became the new host of America's Next Top Model. Where was Rita Ora in this documentary? Because it's supposed to be about the whole thing of America's Next Top Model. Where was Rita Ora? Oh, so y'all just wanted to focus on the old stuff. You don't want to focus on what happened after Tyra. Because you know what? There are no sacred cows, but you know what? There are cows put up for sacrifice. I'm just saying. You be doing the research and making me think this makes sense. In the words of Malcolm X, is ringing loud. Oh, yes, loud. Because for me and y'all who are here with me, y'all know I don't only look at what they are presenting to us. Now I have to think, why are you putting Tyra on a platter for me? Who are you protecting that's sitting at the table chewing on this as well? Who else? Who are you hiding because you're putting Tyra in front of me? Because I'm not just going to look at the plate you put in front of me. I'm going to look and see what you had in the kitchen. Documentary was way too short for all that they have to unpack. Yes, way too short. 3 episodes. It was a Tyra is the villain fest. I want Rita to explain what happened in the car accident with Terrence J. Ooh. Also, remember Rita Ora's seasons. Who else was there? Ashley Graham. Where's Ashley Graham in all of this? This is about America's Next Top Model, right? It happened after Tyra. It had its own self after Tyra. Okay. She was a judge, Ashley Graham. She was a plus size model at the time. Rita, Ashley Graham. Let me see my notes on Ashley Graham. Watching Reality Check and feeling for these women. We tried to bring back the show in 2016, but reality TV machine is hard thing to pivot. Not nobody cares about the last 2 seasons. Hey, if we gonna cover it, we gotta cover it all. We gotta cover it all. Winnie Harlow. Why wasn't Winnie on this? Because Winnie Harlow never has held back on her thoughts on Tyra Banks. Winnie Harlow, our wonderful model, our wonderful supermodel with vitiligo, has never held back her thoughts. She's like, this is one thing that Winnie wrote. This is a quote. This is why I don't credit that show for my career. They don't build you up. They try to break you down so that they can film the pieces. Seeing it all laid out like this is a massive I told you so for me. Where was Winnie Harlow in this? She had lots to say. She had lots to say. I would have loved to hear Winnie Harlow talk about it. Again, y'all seeing the blinders on. Winnie Harlow, yes, she does not attribute the show to her modeling success, but she's a successful model that was on the show. But you don't highlight her. Eva is also not on the show. Yes, she had a successful modeling career. She went on to the Housewives of Atlanta. Two women, though they did not have direct success from the show, who are successful in their own careers, who were on the show, but y'all don't show them. But y'all gonna show, no disrespect, the young lady who left Walgreens only to return to Walgreens. I'm just saying, it's a little bit of the fixes in. Just a little bit. Maybe it's coming on an e-documentary. Maybe C. Golden, good to see you. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if there's another documentary. But why we don't hear anything from those three ladies, Rita Ora, Asha Graham, Winnie Harlow, they were there afterwards. Successful in their own right. Now, what I do love that's happening is the reunion of those judges. Miss J, Nigel Barker, Jay Manuel. Love that reunion. Love the love fest. All the love fest that they have for each other, that they're pouring into Miss J. Love it. Love it. That's a positive thing I'm seeing that came out of here, that they continued their friendship after the show. After everything. They understood what mattered. Each other. Okay? Now, they seem to have stayed away from the woman who made it only. My understanding is E! Entertainment and other networks are working on their own doc. Now they're riding a coattail. I mean, there's so many contestants they can pull from. They can't get everybody. No, they can't. But those contestants, at least Tiffany, who was yelled at for we were all rooting for you. Tiffany should have been on there. Definitely. And even if I got a fourth episode, which was all about their thoughts, the Jays, Nigel, Tyra's thoughts about what happened to the show after they were gone, that should have been my fourth episode. But interestingly enough, Rita Ora ain't got nothing to say. She's remained silent. She remains silent. Is she coming up to be in the revamp? Because they're trying to revamp the show. Don't think that this documentary and all this is to do anything other than bring it to the forefront, have people talking about it, and revamping the show. They're trying to get America's Next Top Model back out in the open. But also, Lisa D'Amato, here's what I found out in the news. Cycle 17, she was in All Stars. She is the one that was talking about E! doing the dirty, rotten scandals and promises an unfiltered truth about America's Next Top Model that Netflix left out. Here's what I thought Tyra could have done. I can't tell her what to do. Here's what I thought Tyra could have done. Because when they told you that there are no sacred cows, that means that you could be on the chopping block. So you need to pivot. You need to pivot. Not Lisa deranged. Right, cycle 25, here we come. They're trying to get us back talking and being excited about it. Tyra could have opened her own modeling agency. Her own modeling agency. She could have done that. The show is not going to be forever. She could open her own studio. Come on now. Learn from all these different people. Well, it was early days of America's Next Top Model. Learn from all these other people. Hey, the Duchess, good to see you. Learn from all these other people. Simon Cowell had a record label, right? All those people from all those people that didn't have a record deal because they didn't win American Idol. Simon Cowell had a record label and he would scoop up who he wanted, put on his record label and put them out there. Tyra could have had her own modeling agency. Instead, Tyra went for hot ice cream. She did. Tyra could have had her own modeling agency. Tyra could have had her own modeling agency that prepared these young ladies for the modeling world. Tyra has low moral compass. She equates legacy with money. She does. Tyra was still getting paid though. Check was smaller for not hosting, but she's still getting paid. And there it is, when in Rome. I don't think Tyra had the pull she thinks she had when she kept saying this is get back. I think some of the reason the models couldn't get work is because the industry didn't with Tyra. And that's what I said to my members last night when we were talking about it at first. Tyra Banks did not have a name. The way you hear Naomi Campbell. She was not pulling the designers. There's no reason that every year, like how Project Runway has it, the Heidi Klum, there is no way that America's Next Top Model should not have had a finale in Italy, Milan Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week. I don't think Tyra had the pull she thought. Didn't have it. Didn't have it. That's why she used Miss J and J Alexander. Miss J and J Manuel. She was Sports Illustrated and Victoria's Secret. She wasn't running the catwalk. She was not running the catwalk. She was glossy photo. She was not. You're not going to catch me saying that. Couture model. She was not. She had none of the pull. Exactly. Silence is deafening, high vibe. Tyra was not running the runway. She was a commercial baby. Yes, when in Rome. So that's why when you're getting a contract with this modeling agency, you're getting this, you're getting that, didn't come into fruition. Didn't come into fruition because she didn't have the pull at the agencies, because she didn't have the pull on the runway, didn't have the pull in the industry. You cannot dismantle the industry unless it's from within. And she was not within, not as far in enough to shake the table. Not far in enough. Not high fashion. You're right, Sophie. Not high fashion. So her pull was to try and get fame on the TV screen because she wasn't getting it on the runway, not at the heights of the Iman, not at the heights of Naomi Campbell. And again, right now we have Heidi Klum on Project Runway. Who's going to tell Heidi Klum no? That's why I think, unfortunately, I think Janice wasn't the right choice. Even though she was the first, I don't think she was the right choice. I think she could have gone with another supermodel. A supermodel who would have access to the agencies. Who was a supermodel? But she needed somebody that's a little bit rough. Who was a supermodel who was on Housewives of Beverly Hills? Who was on Housewives of Beverly Hills? Who was that supermodel? She's a supermodel mom. Tyra didn't want to go the route of Naomi. And of course, y'all, all this is alleged. Tyra didn't want to go the route of Naomi. And that's her choice. She owned 25% of America's Next Top Model, got paid for international licensing. She is set up nicely, but gain the whole world. Yes, their mom. Yes, Janet's probably the only one willing to be on the show. Exactly, Cheryl. Janice was in front of the camera again. Yolanda Hadid. Thank you so much. Yolanda Hadid. I knew it was Yolanda, but I couldn't remember the last name. Yolanda Hadid would have been a great addition. I actually liked Yolanda Hadid's show where she had models and their parents, and she was teaching not only the models, but also the parents how to be managers. I had liked her show. I forgot what the name of the show is, but I had liked her show. Tyra had to carve out her own lane, which she did. She was gorgeous and became a big brand. She was a big brand, but she did not have the influence these girls needed at the agencies to get them on the catwalks across the world. That's just what it is. That's what it is. Okay? Since it's Black History Month and we're talking about America's Next Top Model, if you have not watched Invisible Beauty, it's a great documentary about the models of color struggles in fashion. I believe it's on Prime. Thank you for that suggestion, High Vibe. And that's the other thing. Thank you for bringing that up. While we're here, and it's released now for us to roast a sister during our Black History Month. Hello? I find it quite interesting that you're going to drop this in February on a Monday during Black History Month and expect us to be roasting Tyra at a steak. And March is Women's Month. See, I'm cocking all the pieces of the puzzle that they're trying to make us act a certain way, see things a certain way. We're being fed, this 3-course meal in a particular way, in a particular order. So yes, I'm going to call out all the foolishness. I'm going to call out all of Tyra's behavior, but it is not all on Tyra Banks. I'm sorry. These girls were 5'6", plus size, straight out the hood. Nerds, geeks, etc. They were never getting on those runways. It was always just a show, and Tyra knew that. Ouch, when in Rome. Ouch, that could be it. She had a hope that there was a needle in a haystack. She had hope that somebody was going to step up and be the crown jewel. I'm showing you the system how to play. I mean, sometimes I see it, sometimes I don't. But first of all, I was wondering, why are we releasing this on a Monday? When does Netflix usually release new documentaries? Certainly not on a Monday. But you know why? It was President's Day. Most people are off. Most people are home. So we will release it so everybody has a chance to watch it, those who have it as a holiday. But then internationally, the only last thing I saw released on a Monday was Love is Blind Italy. Other than that, ain't none of the Love is Blinds, ain't none of the Married at First Sights, none of them release the season or a documentary on a Monday. That's not it. But here we are. Happy Black History Month. Here's Tyra Banks on a platter. I'm not saying she ain't supposed to be roasted, but I find it quite interesting when we decide to drop this and roast her. But as I said in this title, is Tyra Banks the villain? She is not the villain. She's not the only villain, but she is a villain. The way she has treated these girls, the way she has treated, and how many times did she say sorry, y'all? How many times did she say sorry? How many times did we say Tyra say, I'm really sorry for that? I only counted one. But I could have missed it. She's not the villain, but she took no accountability. None. Only one time. Only one time. Only one time. And so, I'm really sorry for that. But accountability, if y'all watching Love is Blind Ohio with us, one of the dads said honesty, it ain't in him. Accountability, it ain't in Tyra. And I'm wondering, not to give her a pass, I'm wondering if she's thinking, well, I ain't the only one making these decisions. We did hear her say that. I'm not in editing. I'm not in this. I'm not in that. But Tyra, you are the face. You are the creator. You handed over all your rights. When you saw what the first cut was like, I guess you bask in the glow of success and you didn't say stop. Her attorney likely told her not to take accountability. She could be sued. Could be. She didn't mean it once. Maybe not. Some definitely talented models in there, but the photo shoots couldn't even be used for portfolio. Now let's talk about the photo shoots. Did you hear what they said? That the photo shoots, some of them were being used. They were intentionally giving terrible photos so that they can send someone home. That they can intentionally send someone home. Hey, Diane. Statute of limitations. Hey, could be. Could be. I mean, all these are 2003. They ended 2012. I don't know what the statute of limitations were. Right. She could just say, as you said, 2020 vision is hindsight. Would I do things differently? Yes. But things have happened. They're on film. They're documented. I cannot go back and change history. Can I change going forward? Yes, I can. That's all we needed. That's all we needed. Yet it shows the bad photos on purpose to create a storyline. Let's talk about that young lady. And I forgot to make note of her name. The young lady that was doing the photo shoot with the young man in the doily cloth. She had 3 men around her with the doily cloth. And she was telling them, and she stopped the photo shoot to say she was uncomfortable. And this is where the other thing, when she came to the judges and they're like, well, you should have just respectfully stopped it. Stop the photo shoot. Hello? Kenya. Thank you. Kenya. Hello? She did respectfully stop the photo shoot. She did. She did stop the photo shoot. And it's more than just him touching her. If you watch that season, it was more than him just touching her. That changed her entire moment, drive, and all they got was bad photos because they didn't listen. She did stop it. And now she's standing in front of you, in front of the counter, in front of the panel of judges, telling you she's uncomfortable, and you're telling her, you are the problem. You should have done this. You should have done that to make it stop. No. Exactly when I did not like Nigel's response to that. Nigel, that is the only time I'm saying you were trash for that. If you were the photographer, Nigel, and a model who ain't got no name come and tell you to stop the photo shoot, I'm not comfortable with this model. Really? Hey, Katie. And Naomi Campbell told Tyra the same thing. Oh, well. Exactly. And so Tyra is now telling these models, oh, well. And exactly, Jay Manuel was there on set when this was happening with Kenya. And that's who she told at first, I'm not liking how he's all up on me. Now, y'all realizing this is what I love with this whole new time. Now the model there's someone they can go to. There's someone they can complain to. And the man will be duly, chastised or removed from the set. Right now, you do have a voice. Back then, unfortunately, models like Tyra, and as Naomi Campbell said, oh well, models didn't have any power to say, hey, I feel uncomfortable. Now they do. Exactly. The photo of Kenya they picked was fierce, all of that while she was being violated. Disgusting. Again, all I'm saying is Tyra is not the only villain of this at all. Pay attention to who was omitted from the documentary, the Janices of the world, okay? The Rita O'Hara and all of them afterwards. This was intentionally to put our focus solely on Tyra Banks. That's it. Now, does she have trash behavior? Yes, trash behavior. She treated everybody like they were sacrificial cow, forgetting she was one as well. Pay attention to who was not there, who was not featured. Pay attention to when the show dropped. Pay attention to who they're telling us we need to vilify. But I'm sorry, I got the smoke for the owners of the network. Can Mark getting smoked too? Because he was very flippant. Yeah, we made a mistake. Yeah, okay, whatever. Pay attention. When we are being shown and put blinders on, is because they want us to focus on one thing. Sometimes we need to take our blinders off and look either way. Figure out how we're being served, what we're being served, and why we're being served. Again, this is Black History Month. Next month is Women's Month. Yet we're supposed to be roasting Tyra Banks. We're supposed to be roasting Tyra Banks exclusively. Because apparently she did everything. Exclusively, we're supposed to be roasting Tyra Banks. Around here, we look and see everything that they also not telling us, what they are not showing us. That's why I said it's very interesting who they decided not to feature and not to mention. So yes, Tyra's behavior, can't stand it. Especially to the Jays and to Nigel. But there's enough blame to go around. We also have to look at the season it was in. Back then, these young ladies really had no advocate. Back then, no advocate. It's either do as you're told or you get sent home. Now, it'll be a different story. And that's probably why they want to give you a cycle 25. We have learned. We are going to do better. And it's going to be better than ever. Unless you have a legitimate agency, and unless like American Idol, we could see an album come out. We don't want it. We don't want it. Unless you can say that these girls are being more than featured on a magazine cover, more than that, unless you can actually show us that they are also going to be walking the runway for a Christian Siriano as the featured model, we don't want it. We don't want it. That doesn't mean they're going to have a catapult career, but at least they're going to be on a runway. At least they're going to be in a spread, as y'all know I love my Project Runway. It's spread in Elle magazine. Unless you're going to show us all of that, including being the featured model in New York Fashion Week for whatever, designer or house, we don't want it. Don't want it at all. We don't want to see it at all. Advocate Sue, you remember her? With Blake? We need an Advocate Sue on site. Yo, but somebody else remembered the allegations against Nigel for inappropriate behavior against the models. I don't know if it was on America's Next Top Model, but when you research Nigel, he did have something. He did have something. Yes, there was, but it went away. Okay? It went away. I read somewhere that modeling agencies are borderline antiquated things thanks to IG. Oh, Sam, are we back on Instagram, Sam? Are we back on Instagram? I'm proud of you. They are saying that the modeling agencies and running around, because now people put their entire album out, and their casting album out there and do their photos, so they put it out there. So people are recruiting people to model, from Instagram and from online, but But I think they show the season with April and him. I know I read something about Nigel and inappropriate behavior with a model. I know I read it. It was all allegedly, but nothing came of that. Okay. The whole Kenya thing is where Nigel is no angel in my book. Because as a photographer, I don't think he would have listened to her at all. But also Tyra could have, when Tyra decided to come to behind the lens and she be the photographer, that also is, she could have been a photographer. She could have had a whole bunch of photographers putting out these, candid shots of these young ladies, I'm sorry, making sure that they have a good portfolio. So when you leave America's Next Top Model, you have a proper modeling portfolio. Hey, Lady T-Bug, good to have you. If y'all are interested in crime drama, and she has a new book club. I'm sorry I missed tonight's book club on the front porch. Please just check out Lady T-Bug. Hey, PW, I haven't seen you in quite a while. Hope everything is good. But I'm saying Tyra Banks is not the only villain. Villainous, yes. She's not the only person that should be roasted. But we have to pay attention. It is Black History Month. It is Black History Month. And here's this sister. Good, bad, ugly behavior. Why is she being fed to us? Why are these other people in the background being allowed to scoot away while they try to bring up a Cycle 25? They could keep that. They can keep that. But pay attention to who they kept out. There's no Janice. There's no Kenya. There was no Tiffany. No Rita Ora. No Ashley. There's a whole bunch of people. Hey, Ricky Starr. There's a whole bunch of people that was left out of this whole thing that's America's Next Top Model. So for me, it was a roasting session for Tyra, because if you're going to tell me America's Next Top Model, you got to take me all the way to the end, Rita Ora season, when Tyra was given the boot. You got to take me to the end. But no, you stop when Tyra stopped. So it's about her. Oh, well. To quote Naomi Campbell, oh, well. That's what Ken Mock said too. Oh, well. Tyra's the biggest name. Nobody cares about anyone else being held to the fire. That's how it is. Oh, okay. She mentioned a year ago. Let's see. It'll come. Cycle 25 will come. This is just to get it on everybody's lips again. It'll come. Because then there will be young ladies who are models who want to prove Tyra wrong, and they're going to step up to her. They're going to speak back to her when they think they don't have to do certain things. It's going to happen. But again, they're wrong. Was Tyra hired Janice to be the mean judge like Simon Cowell? That's what Janice claimed. Looking forward to see the other documentary coming next month. Yeah, but interesting that Janice was omitted. They didn't say much about Janice and that. But again, no offense, Janice is the world's first supermodel. Janice didn't have the pull for the show to get these girls on a runway. It's going to happen in Australia, like my favorite Married at First Sight season. Married at First Sight, y'all. I cover that tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST, Sundays on 2 p.m. EST. I cover that with JR, who is from the UK. It is wild, and we will cover it tomorrow. But yes, Australia has some good TV. But yeah, it'll probably happen in Australia. She could start off there. She could start off with the international versions. And she doesn't have to be the face of it. And is it America's Next Top Model? Or is it Next Top Model? Or is it Next, modeling superstar? It could do with a facelift and come back out. I'm telling y'all, this is to test the waters. JR is in the UK, and he is his lineage is from Jamaica. Just like Jay Manuel, most of y'all thought he was Latino, and he's actually South African. So again, books and covers. But yeah, that's why I asked y'all if you wanted me to come back tonight, because I had an unpopular opinion for the members who were there last night. They were like, "Oh no, El Cid, you just oh no, I ain't got you back on this one. I ain't got you back on this one." But I'm glad y'all at least, give me a listening ear to hear my point of view on it. Okay, okay. Don't think there'll be a cycle 25. Okay, Tyra's living in a bubble. Nobody would want to be the judge on the show and critique the girl's physique. I think people would do it. I think people would do it. He's colored. Yes, he is. I said, thank you for pouring clean water on this situation, because I did not know Kenya Barris was behind America's Next Top Model. With my research, it did say, my research said, and y'all could correct me if I'm wrong, that was a co-creator and producer of America's Next Top Model. I'm swaying you. That's all I can ask for. I'm swaying you. Yes, yes. Now here's how cycle 25. Kris Jenner. You could have the Hadid family. Yolanda Hadid, Bella, Gigi. They could have your America's Next Top Model, because you will get it, especially if it's either Bella or Gigi. If you have Bella or Gigi, that is the face of the future of modeling. And they have the name and they have the weight on the runway. Models will probably fight Tyra today for the stuff she used to say. I don't know. Heard from him and his dog. Hey, he didn't even have a part to play. He didn't even have a part to play. But I can see the Hadid young ladies, either Bella or Gigi, they can definitely be the face if they wanted to do another top model show. But this is why folks here too, Ziri, I'm going to pronounce the X as a Z. This is why on Fridays, folks don't like me analyzing the lyrics of music when we do El Cid Unscripted. I analyze music lyrics and we get to the nitty gritty. We get to behind and between the lines. And when we reveal what is actually being said and what we actually singing and how it comes, it's like, no, I don't think I could be singing this song anymore. Or some people, I wouldn't call names, say, I don't care what you say, El Cid, I would still sing my song. That's my jam. Now that I have gathered you this evening, I didn't come here to gather you. I just gave my perspective and listen to your perspective. I can see them bringing back some of the models for All-Star season for cycle 25. Yeah. Yes, it's okay to love the show. What the show was supposed to do and represent. Yes, these are young ladies. These are young ladies coming out here, definitely looking to make it in the modeling industry. I'm sure they learned something. I'm sure they learned a lot, what they should and should not accept or take. I'm sure that much they learned. And I'm hoping that they carried that with them for the rest of their lives. I'm not going to take this foolishness from anybody in my life ever again. And for many of them, I could see that. It's like, you will not take advantage of them ever again. It's a hard lesson to learn. And it's a lesson they did not expect to learn from there, because they thought that Tyra was a safe port of call. And it wasn't. And I think that what hurts the most, that they saw Tyra as maybe big sister, protector, and she didn't. She was actually the one throwing them to the wolves as well. And they couldn't see it. High Vibe said, ignorance is bliss sometimes when it comes to music. Lotus said, there's a certain artist I want you to stay away from. I can't promise y'all anything. I'll promise not to go too hard, but I can't promise y'all anything. Not along those lines. Because we certainly talked about Ring My Bell yesterday, and y'all, some of y'all understood what the song meant. But y'all, those are my thoughts on, is Tyra Banks the villain? She is a villain, but is she the villain? Mm, she's not the only villain. And we have to be mindful when things are presented to evoke an emotion in us, especially an emotion of anger and an emotion of anger towards one of our own. We also have to look and see how. How is it presented? Why? Why is it presented this way? Yes, Tyra has her faults. Yes, she has trash behavior. But why and how are you doing this now? And why did you stop? If this is about America's Next Top Model, why did you stop with Tyra? Because the show didn't stop with Tyra. There are no sacred cows. Tyra is just one of many cows in this pasture. And we have got to keep sight of all of them and make sure all of them have the same brand. She is the face. Yes, she is the co-creator. But that co-creation means there are other people there, other people involved, other people signed off. And when push came to shove, she also was shoved out the way. And the show continued without her. So I could hold her feet to the side, to hold her feet to the fire for the cycles. She was there, even when she was not there. How her friends were handled, how her coworkers were handled. And I would love to know if Tyra has any long-standing friends, especially friends that she has worked with before. Because it's giving burning bridges. It's giving ashes. It's giving that I will burn it all down and walk away from you. That's what it was giving in the documentary. But I always tell y'all, these are edited, produced shows. It is to show us something in a certain light. It is to invoke a certain, amount of emotion. That is what it is. And when you realize that they are trying to evoke something in you, now you got to figure out why are they pushing for that. Yep, she wasn't as powerful as she was made out to be. She wasn't. She's one of the biggest accomplices. She didn't have the money or power to do a fraction of the damage that was done. She wasn't paying for that dental surgery. Tyra should have gotten out of it sooner if it didn't align with her values or original vision, because it was her brand and face on it. Now, I agree with you, PW, but figure out what Tyra is battling against. Herself. She wanted so much to change the modeling industry. I don't think she was going to leave on her own. I don't think she was going to leave on her own, because she hadn't accomplished what she wanted to do, which was one of her girls breaking through on a runway, being the next top model out there in the world. She was not going to walk away. They had to put her out. They had to tell her, no, you got to go. So while I agree with you, she should have gotten out sooner, but the need and drive for that dream to be realized, again, I don't know Tyra, but I kind of know that burning desire to make a change, or a burning desire to have, to break the wheel, going into my Game of Thrones bag, to break the wheel. Tyra wasn't going to leave. She hadn't accomplished what she wanted to accomplish. She wasn't going to do that. She had to become one of the sacrificial cows. That's how I see it. Because still to this day, who on America's Next Top Model, or who was on America's Next Top Model, who's a supermodel right now? Because of the show, not in spite of, because of the show. And don't tell me Winnie Harlow, because she said she's an in spite of the show. So who's a top model because of the show? Nobody. Nobody. And you could only make changes from within. And she didn't have enough people from within the industry to make those changes. Tyra's very delusional. I think she looked past a lot of it when she lost the plot. I question if this was truly about changing fashion. Now, could we talk about ego? Ergo, could we talk about ego? And we said that Tyra didn't have as much power or clout in the fashion industry as we thought back then. So was it really her ego pressing her forward? Y'all didn't want to have me be supermodel, higher than Naomi Campbell. I'ma show y'all. I'ma show y'all. I'ma show y'all what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring models out here that's going to break this wheel and change fashion forever. Let's talk about ego. Because that was the whole time she was sitting there talking in the documentary. That is all I saw across her forehead. Ego. Absolute ego. Come on, Tyra. No remorse, no accountability, no this, no that. It was ego. And I'm like, where has Tyra been all this time that this ego is so strong? Where has she been? What has she been doing? I mean, really? And yes, Felicia, she romanticized her dream, held on tight, but in reality, she was a pawn in the chess game of reality TV. You better say it out loud, Felicia. Say it out loud. She was a pawn in the chess game on the chessboard of reality TV. She just gave them, she was just another pawn on the board. That's it. Absolutely. Y'all keep saying Tyra been making ice cream. Y'all keep saying it. Not on the forehead. Y'all know what I mean. Tyra always used to say, they used to say me, my forehead is so big, it's a 5 head. Y'all, you remember Tyra used to say that. You got to work with it. Put the head down. And she used to say that. So that's why I'm saying the ego on the forehead. Don't try to make me think I'm crazy. Cheryl, you better say it out loud. The sad part is she still hasn't learned. She still hasn't learned. Hey, Miss Boogie Down. I missed you yesterday. Tyra thought she was bigger than the program. She is not bigger than the program. Now she does have a 5-finger forehead. That's what she used to say. I have a 5-finger forehead. Ego was brand for me. I saw ego from the stance to her sitting there to her looking at the tablet. That's when I was like, I had to stop and go back when she was sitting on that tablet and they were fixing her hair and she's just looking at the tablet and they're fussing and mussing all around. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Tara said, I'll text Jay later. Let's move on. I'll talk to Jay when I feel like it. Hello? You have a lot of phone calls to make, Tyra. You have a lot of phone calls to make. And Miss J Miss J don't deserve a phone call. Miss J deserves your presence. That's what Miss J deserves. Hightail your flight over there. Hightail a flight over there and see and put yourself in Miss J's presence. Not no phone call, not no email, not no video call, your presence. For someone who taught you how to walk and is now relearning how to walk, your presence. And J. Manuel, please have that be your t-shirt. I am disappointed. Please have that be on a t-shirt. Or have your frosted hair coloring line be called called disappointed. Nigel, I don't know. You are not the angel in this whole mystery. Because you had some things that I would side eye you with. Nigel is aesthetically pleasing, but there were some episodes When Nigel told the girls certain things, I was like, ugh. But the Kenya with the photo shoot, Nigel used to tell them, how to move, how to do certain things, and I'll be like, there's some things, and I don't know. He could say, "Oh, they told me to say that." I don't know. As a photographer in the industry, I thought Nigel had a great perspective, but I don't think he is a complete angel in this. Nobody is. Nobody is a complete angel. But you know what? Many of them, J. Manuel and Miss J, and some in some regard Nigel did too. They took responsibility and they held themselves accountable for how the show happened, how the girls were treated. They at least can admit that it was wrong. And that's all we ask, that you at least admit you were wrong. That's all we ask. It's not an admission of guilt. It's an admission that, hey, hindsight, as someone said earlier, it's an admission that hindsight is 2020. And we could do differently. We can do better. And the girls deserve better. Because there's no reason, Tyra, and this is what irked the heck out of me. It really did irk the heck out of me. Out of all these shows that bring back contestants, and even with American Idol, if they brought back every American Idol contestant, they will come back. If Simon Cowell said every American Idol contestant, you all need to come over, come hang out. Let's do a photo on the stage with everybody. They'll come back. How many of those girls you think will come back if Tyra called them? If Tyra said, let's do a reunion and bring us back together, how many of them would come back? None. 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 And that's sad. And it's sad. It was a pivotal reality TV show. It was riveting. It was. Many of us believed in what the show wanted to do, which was put the young ladies forth into modeling and break through the career, break the change, break the mold, everything. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. But out of all these shows, even those who were scripted shows, the cast will come back for a reunion even when they didn't like each other after the fact. All these shows having reunions, and America's Next Top Model can't have one. It's giving burning bridges. It's given there are no sacred cows, and if I'm not a sacred cow, nobody's a sacred cow. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry to, as someone said, pour in clear water on this. That's exactly what I wanted to do with this. But I find it quite interesting what they were trying to feed us and how they were trying to feed this to us. Don't just look at what we see, look at what they're not showing us. But y'all, those are just my unpopular opinion thoughts about the show, about Tyra, about what was going on, what was coming up. Okay. I don't know. I feel generous. Let me see if y'all would like to come up and talk about the show, please be respectful. Okay. Please be respectful. Please, be as respectful as I am your hostess. And we could talk about it if y'all wish to talk about the show. No pressure. No, you don't have to come up. But if you want to have a say about the show, what you were disappointed, if you had higher hopes for the show, certainly. I had higher hopes, but I after the first episode, I realized this was a roast Tyra show. And I was like, Tyra ain't the only thing that should be served up on this menu. She's not. She is not at all the only thing that should be served up on this menu. At all. Unfortunately, she will be the scapegoat. She will be the sacred cow. Unfortunately. And to the girls who all were featured there, I wish to thank them for opening up. I wish to thank them for sharing their story. Sharing their story. Sam, I see you there, but it says, I guess no camera connection. I don't know if I could bring you up. Hold on. Sam, you want to say something? I can't hear you, Sam. Okay. They're holding Tyra and her big feet to the fire. Yes. Her big feet to the fire. And her forehead holding that ego. Sam?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Technical difficulties will run amok.
Technical difficulties on my part. Yes, I'm sorry. But thank you for doing this tonight. As you know, I was hot and heated when we talked about it yesterday, and I appreciate your perspective. It has helped me see things in a different way. Um, but I guess I'm still conflicted in the sense of someone said it earlier, and I think I had said it to you and a few others last night. Um, I think that Tyra began with a good thought and a good mind and a good heart. I think that's where it started. But then she lost her way. And I think that my issue and the reason why I toggle back and forth with how hard to go or how hard not to go is at some point there were conversations, there must have been conversations behind the scenes where to make it seductive, to make it something that people were going to want to watch, you had to do things that were pushing the envelope way past what was necessary.
Salacious.
Just to make it salacious. And I think that while one or two things may have been true in modeling, it may be true that somebody let's just ride with her for a second. I don't know if it's true or I believe it or not, but let's just say for the sake of argument, it was true that if you had a gap, that would be problematic. Or that it was true that if you were under the height of 5'9", you wouldn't necessarily be considered. That might have been one thing to play out in those scenarios. Tyra and that group threw out 5 and 6 things or 3 and 4 things. Bad teeth, you're not tall enough, you're not thin enough, let's cut off your hair but not give you resources to get it cut properly, guilting people into thinking their skin wasn't moisturized enough. Then people are making fun of you because when you touch your doors, I'm touching your baby oil or you threw out so many things that then made it, is this what would really take place? And I understand that you're trying to make it somewhat of a boot camp-ish type of a thing, but you've got to be realistic, you've got to be reasonable, and then you've got to be a mentor throughout that process.
Right. You should.
And there wasn't any mentoring. It was taking advantage of the fact that somebody lost their mother through pow pow incident. How can you make fun? Anybody who knows anybody, and I do, I have a cousin that has an eating disorder on steroids. So she was anorexic and bulimic and ate laxatives like they were Tic Tacs. So when you show a photo shoot of somebody lethargic with so-called vomit on their face and on their dress, and they're sitting on the toilet and they're just lethargic because they've just been vomiting, or someone who's on substance, and think that that's a sexy photo shoot?
Right. Or the homelessness or the use of illegal substances. There's no reason. Hold on. Thank you so much, Lotus. Thank you for supporting the channel. And we love to say thank you around here with dance. We can't play songs. We can't do song and dance. We can just do a dance. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Lotus, for blessing the channel. And yes, that is Chewbacca doing a twerking, y'all. I'm sorry.
We love Lotus and Chewbacca.
But yet it definitely, for me, it's like I'm not completely sympathetic. I'm not completely sympathetic to Tyra, but I am watching Who Are the Scapegoats. And for those of you who were, just Google it. Those of you, Kenya Barris apparently is also a childhood friend of Tyra, and that's how they he was part of the co-creation of the show in the early days. So please look it up. Please look it up. I would love to hear his rendition of it. Oh, thank you, Cheryl, for also gifting 5L Citizen memberships. Yes. I can't see who got the memberships, but welcome to the new L Citizens. And I love to say thank you again. Let me go another thank you. Yes, let the bird shake a little bit. Shake it, shake it, shake it. Let the bird shake. Thank you so much, Cheryl, one of the OGs around here, one of the original L Citizens. Okay. Yes, but again, why are people not associating him with America's Next Top Model? That's my thing. Again, we are the face and we are the one taking hits in social media. Miss Boogie Down said her favorites. I know you love those birds. So what did you think of the omissions that I mentioned? Tiffany, who was yelled at, Janice Dickens wasn't there,
Mhm.
and no one from Tyra's early modeling days were included.
Well, I guess I'm thinking two things, or maybe three. So you've got me in this frame of mind that just because we don't see something doesn't mean interviews were not had.
Right.
So I don't know that they were not interviewed and that for reasons that whether it was time limits or it was going in a different direction, they may have chosen to not include the interviews. And perhaps the reason why maybe people who were asked that haven't said anything one way or the other, is it possible they signed an NDA?
True.
So maybe that perhaps, I don't know, maybe there's a part two of this that they want to do at a different time and release. I don't know. So the omissions could have been because they just didn't interview them because it didn't really fit what they were trying to
The narrative.
accomplish. Yeah, what the narrative was for this, or they did and had asked them, you're not at liberty to say one way or the other whether you did or you did
Mm-hmm.
not. And then the third part of it could have been that, quite frankly, they did ask, but this was such a painful uh, period of time that people don't want to relive, that they just chose to not want to be interviewed for it. Because
True.
I think that, to put this in context, if these same types of things that I just ranted and raved about were to happen today, I wouldn't be so activated about it, because I would say, well, that's reality TV. We know the game. It is what it is. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. I'm saying that we have a better understanding today about reality shows are.
Back
Back
then we
then,
didn't.
we did not have that. So I think to compare 2003 to
Mm-hmm.
2026 is comparing a cherry to a watermelon. Those are not the same things.
It definitely is. What about let's use that, what you just said, 2003, what we know now. When was the first year of Real World and where Tammy was dragged
Oh, yeah.
through that house?
Oh my gosh, that's right. Was
What
that
was
back
the first year?
the night? Was that back in the early 90s?
1992.
Yeah, early 90s. Yeah.
It premiered in 1992. Y'all, I'm dating myself, okay? Okay, y'all hold your judgment. Okay? Y'all hold your judgment. In 1992, Tammy was dragged across. I see you, Miss Boogie Down. I'm gonna bring you up in a minute. Tammy was being dragged across the way, and cameraman didn't stop it.
Yes, I remember that.
That was a whole scene. So
Yeah.
again, if we are dragging Tyra with this, we need to also drag MTV with that. Let me bring up Miss Boogie Down. Hey, Miss Boogie Down.
Hey, honey, I'm glad you touched on the reality part. I didn't get the full, I didn't finish the full documentary with Tyra Banks, but I'm glad you brought that in because I think just trying to play devil's advocate. I think Sam just said it or somebody has said it in the chat, but and you said it. I think Tyra's intentions on where she was going with her vision um, was definitely the beginning of what transpired, right? But I think once she got in it, I don't think she realized that, like I said in the chat, I always steal that line from Lady T Bug, by the way. She didn't realize that she was bigger than the program. She thought she was, but she wasn't. She thought she was the program and she was going to have it her way. No, she was just the face. And they were used, and I feel like a part of it is like she wanted to be used, and I mean she was used, and I think that we can play again, like I said, devil's advocate. I think she knew she was being used, but I think she thought being bigger than the program, she was going to be able to change the perspective to the way she envisioned it. And I think it was very naive of her, especially back then, thinking that she would have the control that I think she originally started with. And the idea, as somebody is putting in the chat, that it was a brilliant idea, but I think she thought, like, I'm going to be the face of this because this is what I'm going to bring, like you said. But at the end of the day, we know, and we're seeing much more of it polarized now. These executives they already got what they got planned for us, and they're using us. And I think she knew she was being used, but I think she thought she could change the narrative, and then ended up going along with the nonsense until she was not needed to go along with it any longer. You know what I mean? So I just want to be fair to her because I'm with Sam. I'm kind of flip flopping. I'm not hearing anything that really surprises me. But then there's a part that also is empathetic to her because I don't think that her initial initiative was to come in here and be this person. I think she just became this person and she just didn't work hard enough to change that narrative. You know what I mean? Like, versus, did you leave on your own? Were you booted out? You know what I'm saying? Like, you stuck around and you witnessed things. And I think you witnessed your vision being tarnished and changed, and you didn't do nothing about it. So I just, like I said, just wanted to play devil's advocate on that. I feel like, she's obviously, when she was the face of the brand, and so she's gonna have to be the face of the fall. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? And I remember we were actually talking about something else on Lady T Bug's channel a little earlier, but I remember we touched on this very little. And I remember saying, like, I remember her talking about like how she was bullied by Naomi Campbell.
Yes.
Like she was like, she had really, really like trauma behind it. Like she just couldn't understand why Naomi was just so mean to her and this and this and that. So it's like to find that you actually turned out to be what Naomi was, who's older and came in the business before you. It makes me wonder, like, what are we going through in this industry, in these industries, especially in their time, that, was Naomi really a bad person, or did she just go along and she was just like, look, leave me be. I'm in my lane and I don't have time to play big sister to you. Like, get over it and figure it out like I had to. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. Figure out yourself.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And because Naomi was a beast with it. But again, she just might have had tougher skin than Tyra. It doesn't mean that she too, I'm sure, with her beautiful chocolate skin and her Jamaican essence, I'm sure she definitely has some pitfalls in front of her. And Naomi could have looked at Tyra to a sense of, and again, I don't know this to be true, it's my opinion. She could have looked at it like, you ain't even going through half the stuff I went through. Like, get over it, Buttercup.
Or
Suck
you're
it
not
up.
you're not even in the industry as long as I have been for you to now try and say that you are going to try and shake up the industry. But I wanted to stay on the reality TV piece of it. for back then it was, if we go and if we're auditing, this America's Next Top Model, we need to audit it all. Again, I'm not, only because it is Tyra, it is a black woman. I'm not going to just arbitrarily just, have the lit pitchforks for her.
Right.
If we're doing this, we got to look at all of it back then.
Yep. And like
Tyra
you said
is
with Tammy,
right.
Tammy was before Tyra came out with her version, right?
Right.
And Tammy came out, and that was a whole experiment, right?
And when did Flavor of Love come out?
That was after Tammy, but before Tyra
Tyra.
as well, right? You know what I'm saying? So, and we are experiments, and again, we're coming in these narratives. Even when you look at us in the industry, and in film and in television and music and stuff like that, we do come in with a narrative, and we end up, either it makes us or we make it, right? But at the end of the day, don't forget that you are still the minority in these fields, and then that's what it is. She allowed her face to be used, so yeah, she's got to take the bulk of the hit of what's going wrong with the show, or what was going wrong with the show. But I think it's just not fair to, like I said, just playing devil's advocate, that it all falls on her. You hit on something a little earlier when you was just like, yeah, she's not the only villainess, but because she's the face, that's who we gonna talk about. You know what I mean?
Because
And I think that's unfair.
it is unfair. She's not the only one. Sam, what do you got to think about the back in the day reality? And thank you, When in Rome, that yes, Flavor of Love actually was after Next Top Model.
It was after. Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah,
they
it was
was
05, 06.
Okay.
Sam, what do you think about the old reality TV shows?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely the Wild Wild West back at that time. I know that with Tammy, not if I'm not mistaken, not only was there, I think she was dragged out of the bedroom or the bed,
Yes,
but then she made the personal decision with her own body to make a certain choice and decision.
right.
I don't know if I can say the word, so I won't. But
Uh-uh.
she made a personal decision to do something, and that was all captured. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that I didn't agree with that. I mean,
Right.
I thought it was deeply personal. I was young. I think I was 22 at the time. I was 22 or 23 at the time. So I wasn't young. I mean, I wasn't a teenager, but I was a young adult. And I just remember then feeling like, oh, wow, that was so personal. She was in bed, she
Mm-hmm.
was trying to heal, and this, that, and the
Mm-hmm.
third. So I think back then it was, and I also remember the very beautiful young man who happened to have HIV, and how they
Yes.
explored that whole story. So,
Yes.
and that story was deeply personal, but it was also an opportunity to learn and teach and grow at the time, because there were so many misunderstandings about what that was. And, that young man put a face on something that most of us didn't have a face that we could attach to a real human and humanize it. So I think it was interesting back then. It was wild, it was untested, it was experimental. And much like, I guess, what I could say about the Tyra show, some things they got right and some things they just simply did not. And I think that certainly we've grown since then.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my question as it relates to the Tyra show, and this is just, I don't know what I think the answer is, because I'm asking it while I'm thinking about it all at the same time. I guess what I'm asking myself is, historically, as people in general, as women in specific, as people of color in specific, have we not learned along the way that when things go south, if we have agreed to being the face, where else would it fall? It's a risk,
Mm-hmm.
a calculated risk, to maybe to some degree, but it is
Yeah.
a risk all the same. That if this goes well, you will receive the credit. And if it doesn't go well, you will also receive the lashing of that. And so, listen, I don't think, as we've said, And the reason why I'm flippy, I don't think that Tyra woke up one morning and said, I'm going to do things that don't support women, that don't support young ladies, and that 20 years later, my life is going to feel like it's in flames. No, I don't think she did that. But she lost her way. And I don't disagree with you when you say, but Sam, she's not the only one. There are others that are a part of this as well. Because you're correct, there are others that are a part of this as well. But at the end of the day, the beginning of the day, the middle of the day, and every second in between, when you raise your hand to say, I brought this idea to a gentleman, if we want to call him a gentleman, I'm being nice. He went ahead and said, yeah, I thought you were going to be this kind of unintelligent model, but you might be onto something here. Let's see what we can do with it. Then I think you have to protect that. That was your idea and you have to protect it. And when you see things going south, I think you have to try to do things to preserve that.
She couldn't preserve it because, again, she may have co-created it, but
Yeah.
she didn't own it.
And yeah, therein lies. And this part, I know the tomatoes are coming and I get it because now I'm just being overly critical and I get that. But I guess a part of me wonders in who she was and what she was. I'm surprised that there weren't people around her that could kind of say to her, let me walk you through the paces. You've got a good idea. Is it trademarked? Is it attached to you? Do you own it? And I know that's being unfair. She was young and you
Right.
learn.
Would she listen?
Sorry?
Would she listen?
Yeah. I mean, this is a horrible example. And it's only
But Sam, she's at the last stop on
Yeah.
this train. No one else wanted to pick it up. No one else wanted to do it. This
That's
is the last place. And they finally say yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hear what you're saying on that. I guess I'm just thinking at that point, and again, I know I'm being overly critical, but she'd been in the business for a minute. She knew people and people who knew people. She was traveling in certain circles. And so
Right.
I'm just wondering if there was any kind of counsel and advice that she could have gotten. So, like I say, this is a bad example. This is only because I have a crush on Channing Tatum. But to Channing Tatum's credit, and just bear with me for a second.
Love him.
I can't get over him. That whole Magic Mike lie that he owns, that he licensed his name to be a part of, that was based on his story. Somewhere he got counsel and advice. Own your name, own your brand. This is your story. And now he literally, that's him. Nobody can use Magic Mike like that's somebody got around and kind of helped him shape his brand, own it. I know, high vibe. I know. I've taken it to the left. I know. I've taken it to the left, to the left.
He's also a white male in that industry. He's also a white male in that industry. They are protected. This is a Black girl. So I hear where you're going. And hey, Sam, I'm gonna jump on your bandwagon now. Sidebar, he's definitely a crush of mine. But now getting back to the fair part of it, he is not having, hell, he don't even have Black boy problems in that. Somebody will voluntarily make sure he wins. They not doing that for us. Now, whether or not she should have been wise enough to seek that for herself, that is debatable. But that I hear where you're going, but I don't think, in all fairness to her, that the two can be compared the same, because he is going to be looked at generally just being a man way different, and now add his skin color to it. It's not going to be the same for Tyra, because no, I'm saying, because what I feel like with Tyra is she's a woman, and then on top of that, she's a Black woman. Come on, like
I'm not comparing a white man to a white woman. The point that I was trying to make, and maybe I didn't make it well, is that if you are in a space where you know people and there's an opportunity to learn and grow and protect what you are trying to create, is there a way to ask questions about it, to ask certain people who are in the industry about it, so that there is a way to preserve? So that
See
there
that?
is a way to protect and create. It's
that
not about me trying to take a white man and a white woman and say it's an
No. I know that.
no,
I
but
didn't think you were, but I'm just saying. But that
yeah,
is how it plays out.
right,
That's what I'm saying. That's what needs to be acknowledged. I understood where you were going with your point, but
yeah,
I'm just saying, to answer your question,
right.
it's not going to be the same because of those factors. That's why I added the race
right.
and the gender into it.
Right.
Right.
And just like when in Rome is saying, Tyra is coming from modeling, this is TV. And yes, Channing came from the dance world to movies and then Magic Mike. So even in looking at the projection of their careers, she wasn't really coming even on an even playing field as far as their careers to get to TV.
Right. But in terms of, and maybe I'm thinking too
But
much in,
I understand what you're trying to go at, Sam. I understand that he at least had a pathway and now that is his trademark.
right.
I don't think Tyra started off, and this is the thing, as y'all say, Tyra's youth was against her too at the time. Tyra wanted the show to happen. As y'all said, good intentions. But in when we are presented with our dreams coming true, how many people are actually reading the paperwork and thinking longevity?
True. And I guess that's where, and I think that's where I'm maybe not articulating as well as I'm trying to. And maybe it's also because I'm in the PR world where we would literally have clients that nobody knew that would come to us and say, I want to be, I want to do, and what does that look like? And when we were taking these clients and we were bringing them on, that's what we did as PR teams. We would have the questions to ask. We would identify resources in the community. We would identify, we learned that it wasn't always about, the saying used to be, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And then we realized it's not even that, it's who knows you, that
Right.
your reputation has to precede you. And so we understood that, so we would have clients that would be um, unknown, untested, but we were able to help them grow. But we understood we had to do our homework. We had to
Right.
we had to ask the questions. We had to get in those circles. We had to. There were just things, and it was long, and it was hard, and it was tedious. But and so that's all I'm saying. And you're right. To give grace, Tyra was young. She was in modeling. I guess I'm just a little bit perplexed that within that world, because Naomi seemed to be able to do that. Coming from the same modeling world, it seemed like she was in type of a different environment where, I mean, I'm being cheeky when I say this, but Naomi probably was like, you bet not bring my name up in this documentary. Don't you compare me. Don't you bring
That
my name up in it. Now, I don't
right.
think that happened. I'm just kind of being silly to
No,
say that. But
we don't know, but it's interesting for me if they're going to roast Tyra and they're going to showcase Tyra, they didn't showcase her more of her early modeling career, but they did show, hey, she had to share the Sports Illustrated cover. She had to share certain things. So again,
you're right.
here's what I would like to see. I would love to see that initial contract with UPN that Tyra had.
That's a great point.
I would love to read that contract because for me, it's kind of giving, back in the day, those record label contracts.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it was given to me. And I was like, when they told her there are no sacred cows, that's what it said to me. It's like, you could stay on and be the face. Of course, you have a name, but it was called America's Next Top Model. It was not called Tyra Banks' Next Top Model. Her name was associated with, it was not on the show.
Yeah.
So
Well,
she
let me
could
play
be.
devil's advocate. I
Go
think
ahead.
I think that was intentional because
Yes.
again, she didn't want it singled out about her. She wanted to be the one to get the credit that I brought this Black person out to America. So if I
Yes.
make it, the Miss Boogie Down Next Top Model, meh. But if I make it America and I'm behind that and I'm the face behind that and it becomes successful, I got this. I did that. You know what I mean? So I think that part was intentional. I don't
Yes.
ever think she wanted it tied directly to her name because it kind of doesn't make sense if what her overall goal was what we think or we perceive it was, then
Right.
yeah, it's not about her. It's supposed to be about giving us, people that look like us, this opportunity. And I get to say, I did that. I put
Mm-hmm.
my stamp on this. You know, we've never heard Clive Davis sing a tune, right? Like
Right.
that. But
Right.
yet he gets to say that I put some of the greats in the seat and in the faces of y'all, and it ain't nothing we can do but bow down to him and credit that. But he don't take the credit for their drug problems and for their
Right.
this and that, right?
Right.
You know what I'm
He
saying?
does not take
So
credit for that.
there you go. Because, like, yeah, okay, well, you know, Mr. Davis, if you're gonna take credit for this, well, then can I ask you what happened and why you wasn't making sure Whitney stayed in rehab and stuff like that? But oh, you don't want to talk about that, sir. But you want to talk about, you know, she was the voice, and I introduced that voice to the world. Yeah, you know, you wanna take credit for the good stuff. But the bad thing, unfortunately, for Tyra, like you just said, because nobody went to that stardom level, she doesn't have that on the resume. You know, and now these people are talking about her in in their experience with her in a negative light. It's just like, ugh, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just
Right.
bad. It's
It's
just
bad.
bad.
It's bad. It's bad all around. The intent was there to shake things up. But again, now we're looking back at the legacy of any of these shows. Because right now, Real World Calls Up Tammy would be part of a reunion show. How many
Right.
people want to be part of a reunion show for this Next Top Model? They won't.
Right.
They're going to stay away from it. So again, as you said, it's just like as you said, these contracts, it's just like the kind of like the record labels too. They don't care that the artist went bankrupt. They don't care that the artists don't know how
Yep.
to manage and handle royalties. They're going to push out, they're going to make their money and keep it pushing. So again,
Back.
Tyra is here. She put out the show, make her money. It went international, and she going to keep it pushing. She no longer even lives here. And my
Right.
thing is, I want to know, why are we in Australia? That's the other thing. Are we working, or is that where we're living? How did that decision
I,
come
is
to
that
be?
not the husband? Is that not the husband's that
I didn't think so. I don't, but I
no?
don't know his
Okay.
history. I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know. But that would be a definitely a question for me. But hey, I really appreciate you ladies taking the time to
Appreciate
step
you as
up,
well.
step
Just
forth, and talk with me, talk with us
yeah,
about
I was
this. I hope I have
listening
shed
in
some
the
light.
background. It was good. It was a good topic, but I was in the background listening to eat while I'm making something to eat. But this was
That's okay.
actually a very good topic because, like I
Yes.
said, we briefly touched it on Lady T Bugs earlier. And I was just like, yeah, I wonder how many people have looked at it. And I, you know, my last thought is just like, I just hope that, you know, the good part of what she helped expose people to is overall, you know, what we take from it, right? Because again, like you said, her youth, her enthusiasm, her inexperience, as Sam was saying, and maybe not asking the right questions or having the right team behind her. These are things that are unfortunate, but you live and learn, and hopefully the generations after her that look like her will, you know, capitalize and do it a little bit better. But you know, she was definitely part of the testing stones in those early stages of the reality TVs and stuff like that. And so I just want to fairly, as well as I can criticize, I can also give her grace and mercy. But it was a
Yes.
pleasure.
Thank you so much, Miss Boogie Down. And y'all, this final thoughts is also a staple at Lady T Bugs. Lady T Bug, I'm sorry, we're gonna use it tonight. Sam, what are your last thoughts?
My last thought is to, for a moment, step back and be critical of myself and say this. I'm basing thoughts based on a documentary that came from a certain perspective. That Tyra's participation was that she was asked questions that she either did or didn't answer well, or wasn't as transparent as she could have been or should have been. what I wish, and I would be happy to tuck my tail between my legs and say I talked a whole bunch of stuff and didn't know what I was talking about and was being overly critical if I knew the fuller story. And I wish to that end Tyra would have not participated in this documentary, but to do her own, because there's probably a bigger story here that I don't know. There's other sides that I don't know. There's a contract she signed that I don't know anything about. There was things that she was pushed into, cajoled into that I don't know about. And here I sit in my little chair with all my little comments and criticisms, this, that, and the third, all these strong activated opinions. And I'll bet you there's so much more to this that I don't know, but here I sit feeling like I can have these opinions. And so I would love to be wrong, and I would happily come back and say, you know what? I said a whole bunch of stuff and I never knew the whole story because I knew it from one perspective. I didn't know it from Tyra's perspective, and it was shaped for me to feel exactly how I'm feeling. And there isn't anything fair about that. There isn't anything right about that. And that would just be a great learning experience for me, that before I go spouting off an opinion based upon one perspective, maybe I should get the whole story. So those are my closing thoughts.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam and Miss Boogie Down, for coming up. Yeah, it's all about, your initial emotion and sitting in it, and then look left, look right, figure out who's telling the story, who's the one giving you the research, who's the one giving all this information, and then say who's being left out. What is your purpose in pushing me to have this emotional reaction? That's it. What is your purpose? And then I have to figure out, why am I allowing this person to push me in this emotional direction? That's how I come up with many of my, unpopular opinions, because I'm like, I have to weed through this, but I don't negate the emotion that I felt initially. But I'm not going to just eat what is presented to me. And I'm glad we are all open thinkers. We all have an open mind. So my last thoughts. Thank you, Lady T-Bug, for saying you don't mind. I know you don't mind. One thing I took from this documentary: don't treat people like they're disposable. Do not treat people like they're disposable. Keep close to those that you call friends, or those who have been with you for years. But if you just treat people with grace, with some kind of mercy that you have the capacity for, but don't treat people, especially those that you are supposed to be helping, don't treat them like they're disposable. Even those who you say have been your mentors, who taught you to walk, when their time of hurt and need comes, don't treat them like disposable. And even though there are no sacred cows, still treat the cows like they are sacred. That's just my final thoughts about it. But thank y'all so much. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. I'm glad to have you here. Please make sure you hit that like button. Tomorrow, I'm covering Married at First Sight Australia and Love is Blind 7 through 9. Have the panel tomorrow. But thank y'all so much for coming through. I appreciate all of you. And we have Messy Member Monday coming Monday at 8:05 p.m. I have to figure out what my topic is going to be. But that's for 18 and over. Yes, I love that sacred cow line. Love it. Love it. But y'all, thank y'all so much. And as I always say, I'll see you on the next one.